Hello everybody and welcome to another episode. In today's episode I'm going to show you how to do a full service interval on any Mercedes Benz Vito from the year 2005 and up. This car is made in the year 2006 and it has the engine 109 CDI. This is the version W639. Okay, so the oil which I'm going to use in this car is made by Mercedes Benz and you'll need about 9 liters of oil to do the full service interval on this car. Also, all the filters which I'm going to replace in this car are made by Man Filter, and I also recommend all to choose this manufacturer because this is the best in my opinion out there. To begin, what you have to do is to remove the metal clamp which is securing the hose to the air filter, and you have to remove the box completely from the car. As you can see, to remove it you'll only have to lift it up and you'll have to pull it out. Also, if you want, you could also remove the pipe which is going inside the air filter box, but in my case I'm not going to remove it because it's not bothering me in any way. After that, I recommend all to use a special key to remove the oil filter, because if you don't have a special key you won't be able to remove the oil filter cap from the engine. Also, be prepared to have a piece of rags in your hand because the oil will spill a little bit from the filter and you don't want to make a mess on your car and in your garage. After you're done with cleaning the housing from the oil filter, you'll have to go ahead and remove the oil filter completely from the oil filter cap. And to do so, it's very easy. The only way which you have to do it is to pull it out from the oil filter cap. As you can see, it's coming out very easy. After that, you'll have to take something sharp and you'll have to remove the O-rings which are mounted over the oil filter cap. You'll have 3 of them and you'll also have the new O-rings into the box with the new oil filter, so you don't have to worry about them. Always replace the O-rings, because if you don't replace them, your oil filter can leak and it will make a mess on your engine. So as you can see, this is the new oil filter, and also right here I have the new O-rings which I'm going to install on the oil filter cap. And I also recommend all to use some brake cleaner and clean the oil filter cap very good, and only after that you can go ahead and replace the oil filter completely and put it back on the car. So as you can see, now we are done with replacing the oil filter on this car, and we only have to mount it back on the car. And from here you can go ahead and replace the air filter. And to replace the air filter you'll have to remove 5 screws using a Torx 20, and after that you'll have to lift up the top cover and remove the air filter from inside the box. Also, I recommend all to use some comprimated air and clean the box very good, because you don't want to have any debris inside there. And after that you can go ahead and put the new air filter back inside the box and tight everything back together as it was before. Now with the air filter completely replaced on this car, we can go ahead and mount the oil filter back on the car. And the tightening spec for this oil filter and for this car is 25 Newton meters. So I recommend all to tighten it to the spec, because if you don't do so, you can probably strip the threads and you can probably break the oil filter. And in some cases, if you don't tighten it enough, the oil filter can leak from around it. So I recommend all to use a special tool like I'm using this one. This is a special dynamometric key, and it will help me to tighten the screws and also the oil filter and whatever thing I have to tighten to the recommended spec, and this is very good for the car. After you're done with replacing the oil filter and mounting it back on the car, we will have to go ahead and replace also the fuel filter. And to replace the fuel filter, you'll have to remove the 2 hoses which goes inside the fuel filter. Then you'll have to disconnect one cable which is going to the sensor from the fuel filter. And after that you'll have to remove the 2 screws from the corners which are securing the fuel filter mounted to the engine. It's a very easy job, but you'll have to take in mind that sometimes the hoses can be very stuck and it will be a little bit difficult for you to remove them from the fuel filter. But in my case, as you can see, if you remove the metal clamps which are securing the hoses on the fuel filter, if you remove them and if you disconnect them enough, the hoses will come out from its place. Right here on the left side I have the old fuel filter, and on the right side I have the new fuel filter, which I'm going to install on the car. And to install it, what you have to do is to remove the sensor from the old fuel filter. You'll have to disconnect this sensor using a Torx 20. You'll have to remove those two screws, and after that you'll have to pull it out completely from the old filter, and you'll have to put it into the new fuel filter. So every time you are going to replace the fuel filter on this car, you'll have to disconnect the sensor and you'll have to transfer it from the old fuel filter to the new fuel filter. So this is the only thing which you'll have to do, and after that you can go ahead and put it back on the car and assemble everything like it was before. Also, both of the filters are the exact manufacturer, so both of the filters are made by MAN filters. And also, this is a very good thing because they are the best, in my opinion, at making filters and also at making parts for your car. So as you can see, it's very easy to transfer it. You only have to rotate it into the holes and you'll have to put back the screws, and that's it. Also, you'll have to screw this plastic part, you'll have to screw it at the top, and that's it. Okay everybody, right now I'm done with installing the fuel filter back on the car, and this is how it's looking. As you can see, this is the position, and also this is how you also have to install it on your car. From here it's very simple. The only thing that we have to do is to assemble everything back together. We are going to put back the air filter, and after that we are going to go ahead and replace the pollen filter on this car. To replace the pollen filter on this car, it's very easy. The location for the pollen filter is right here underneath the windshield wipers, and you'll have to remove this plastic piece. And then you'll have to remove two screws which are securing a metal bracket over the pollen filter itself. And after you remove this metal bracket, you can just pull out the pollen filter and install the new one into the plastic box. And as you can see, this is how it's looking. This is the old one. And right here I have the new one made by MAN filter. To install it, you also can check on the instruction manual, but in my case I'm not going to check it because I already know how to install it on the car. And from here it's very simple. You'll have to put it in this position, and after that you'll have to go ahead and assemble everything back together as it was before. Okay everybody, so right now we are done with replacing all the filters on this car and on this engine, and from here we can go ahead and also remove the old oil from the engine. And to do so you'll have to use a 30mm socket to remove the drain plug from the oil pan, and after that I recommend all to use something big enough to catch all the oil from the engine, because you'll have around 9 liters of oil which you'll have to catch.
Basi, hai încoace. Nu. Deschide bușonul, Leonie, sus.
Right here I have the drain plug from the oil pan, and I recommend all to replace the washer, the copper washer, with a new one. So always replace the copper washer from the drain plug, because otherwise the drain plug will not be secured very well, and in some cases it can also leak oil. So from here you'll have to wait until all the oil will come out from the oil pan, and after that you can go ahead and replace the washer and put the bolt inside the oil pan and tighten it to spec. You'll have to tighten this drain plug to 13 Newton meters. So you'll have to tighten it to 13 Newton meters if you want to be safe and if you want to make sure that you did a very good job on your car. After you're done with tightening the drain plug to the oil pan, you can go ahead and add the new oil into the engine. so you'll have to add around the 9 liters of oil. So you can go ahead and put the 9 liters inside the engine, and after that you will have to use the dipstick and check the level and see if you have to add more oil or not. From here it's very simple, just follow what I'm doing. After you're done with adding oil back into the engine, you'll have to go ahead and put the ignition a few times until the fuel filter will be filled with fuel, because otherwise if you don't do so, the fuel filter will be empty and you won't be able to start the car. So to help the car start easier, you'll have to put the ignition a few times until you will see and until you will hear that the fuel pump is going and it's pushing fuel inside the fuel filter, and only after that you can go ahead and start the engine, let it run for a little bit, and after that shut it down, and then you'll also have to check the oil and see if you have to add more oil or not. As also, the car did start very well in my case. I didn't have any problems with fuel priming, and from here what I recommend all to do is to check for any leaks. You'll have to check the fuel filter, and also you have to check the oil filter and the drain plug from the oil pan. And after you check all of these things, after you see that everything is perfectly and you have no leaks, you can go ahead. You'll have to let the engine idle for a few seconds, then you have to turn off the engine and you'll have to check the oil level again. And okay everybody, so I turned off the engine 6 minutes ago, and right now it's time for me to check the oil again on the dipstick. And as you can see, the dipstick is showing me that the oil is not at the maximum level where it should be. You will have to always check the dipstick. You'll have to put the oil until it will reach the maximum level on the dipstick. So for example, in my case, as you can see, I will have to add more oil until the oil will reach the maximum level on the dipstick. And only after that you can go ahead and close everything up and you will be good to go. Right now, as you can see, I reached the maximum level of the oil on the dipstick, and the oil is right underneath the maximum level, so this is meaning that the level on this car is perfectly. This is how to replace the oil on a Mercedes Benz Vito with this engine. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video and found it informative, please leave a like and a comment down below. See you next time.